The x-intercept is a point referred to as x-intercept is where the graph cuts the x-axis. It is where the graph cuts the x-axis. And this y-intercept means is where the graph cuts the y-axis. Now, in the equation of a straight line, this point is abbreviated as C in the equation of a straight line. So in the format of y is equals to mx plus c, the format of a straight line, C is the y-intercept. This is the y-intercept, where the graph cuts the y-axis. So what I'm going to be having here is I'm going to be having a series of things here. Let's have something here, then we can discuss it, all of us. So yes. Not that. I will come to that later. What we have already done. What we have already done. So we come back here. Hey, kunibali sana. Yes, I think down here is where I should have come, or up here. Now, so we consider the y-intercept in these lines here. So let's talk about Roman 1. Roman 1, you can see the equation of the line is equals to y. Y is equals to 3x plus 2. In the equation of a straight line, it is y, it is the format of y is equals to mx plus c, where m is a gradient. So you can see clearly in this line, the gradient is 3. And then the y-intercept is 2, or the graph cuts the y-axis at 2. In Roman 2, we have y is equals to negative 5x minus 3. Let me take this attendance here. Okay, yeah, y is equals to negative 5x plus 3. So m is negative 5, so gradient is equals to negative 5. C is equals to 3, so the graph cuts the y-axis at the coordinate 3, or at the point 3. Now, then we have Roman 3, y is equals to 5 over 2x, so gradient is equals to 5 over 2. 5 over 2 is 2.5 or 2.5, that is m, or the gradient. And then the x-intercept, the y-intercept you can see is 5 over 2 minus 4. So the graph cuts the y-axis at negative 4. Now, as you can see here, where we have the y-axis, the value of x becomes 0. The value of x becomes 0. Yeah. So we can simply write this coordinate as where we have the y-intercept, where the graph cuts the y-axis, and we said last time, at that point, the value of x is always 0. And there are some graphs that I showed those of you who are in last week's class here. For example, let me find the one which is more clear. Yes, like in this line here. This point here, the one that I'm pointing here, let me just find an arrow and then I point. So this point here, this point exactly here, hapo, nimechora hiyo arrow. We have drawn that arrow. That is the point that we call the y-intercept. Now, if you are reading that coordinate, you can see this is the y-axis. So along the y-axis, the value of the x is equals to 0. So that's why we are saying in the y-intercept, but the graph cuts the y-axis, or at the y-intercept, the value of x is equals to 0. That is what we are saying here. Just forming a conclusion. So that is what we were saying here. So at that point, the value of x is equals to 0. Okay. So as you can see in these 3 lines we have here, in Roman 1, we have the y-intercept as 2. So we can write that coordinates as 0, 2. Why? Because the value of x is 0. In Roman 2, we can see that coordinate is 0, 3. Yeah. And then finally in Roman 3, we can see the y, the coordinate of the y-intercept is 0, -4, because at the y-intercept, the value of x has to be 0. The value of x has to be 0. Okay, so having said that, let's see this. Note, if a line passes through point AO, okay, I'm going to demonstrate that, and the OB, now AO, as you can see, AO, the value of A as something, AO and OB, O is 0. So what we are saying here is this. A line is passing, a line is becoming like this. So in this coordinate here, we have A, 0. And then here, in this one here, we have 0, B. So you can see, in this coordinate here, the value of y is equals to 0. Here, y is equals to 0. And in this coordinate here, we can see x is equals to 0. X is equals to 0. Now, remember we have said where A is there, A has a value, and here B has a value. But the corresponding coordinate, because this one is the x coordinate, y coordinate, the value of the y coordinate is equals to 0. This one only occurs in only one point, in the x-intercept. So in the x-intercept, we have said it is where the graph cuts the x-axis. And again, where the graph cuts the x-axis, the value of y is going to be 0. So it is where the graph cuts the x-axis. Consequently, on this, x is equals to 0. So this one is equals to the y-intercept. This one we have already spoken about it. It is where the graph cuts the y-intercept is where the graph cuts the y-axis. Yeah, is where the graph cuts the y-axis. So this is how you can write the coordinates on the x-intercept. Because you have the value of a, for example, we can say here, in this equation, you can say let a is equals to 3. If a is equals to 3, then the coordinate would have been like this. It would have been 3, 0. And in this case, if b is equals to 3, let us use the same number, then we can see this coordinate here would have been written as 0, 3. So 0, 3 means the value of x is equals to 0. So it is the y-intercept, because at the y-intercept, or where the graph cuts the y-axis, the value of x is equals to 0. And 3, 0 means the value of y is 0. This is the x-intercept. So at the x-intercept, the value of, at the x-intercept, the value of y is equals to 0. So that is what our graph is telling us. Now, so if a line passes through points A0 and 0B, then A and B are called the x and y intercept respectively. And the equation of such a line is x over A. Can you write this formula at home? X over A plus y over B is equals to 1. This question here can be brought. Like last year, I think it was brought in the certificate exam. So you have to beware, you have to be wary of that. So x over a, y over b is equals to 1, where a is the x-intercept, or where the graph cuts the x-axis, and b is the y-intercept, where the graph cuts the y-axis. And if you write them like that, you say is equals to 1. So let us look at this question here as example 7, and we see. Now, find the equation of a line whose x-intercept is -3, y-intercept is 6. So x-intercept -3. Let me see here. So x-intercept you have said -3, y 6. So I'll come here and then I'll demonstrate this. So x, we have said x-intercept. X-intercept is equals to -3. -3, while the y-intercept is equals to 6. So let me write this one in the form of coordinates. X-intercept is going to be what? If I write it as in the form of a coordinate, is -3, 0, because at the x-intercept, the value of y is equals to 0. And the y-intercept here, is going to be like this. At the y-intercept, the value of x is equals to 0. So this is how our line is going to be. So we have this one. Now let me call this point here. Let's say the x-intercept is at A and the y-intercept is at point B. I'm just giving them names. So I'll come here and then I'll say A, you use our odd method. So this, the x coordinate here now, we can call it as a, let's call it x1. And then y, we call it y1. Like the way we were doing it last week. And so here, this one now is going to be x0, and the other one is going to be y0. X is 0, is not 0 in here, y0. And then you can say, number one is you have to find the gradients. If you are given 2 points to find the gradient, if you are given 2 points to find the equation, you have to start by finding the gradient. And then you'll come here and say this. Yeah, changing y over changing is not what I want. I want this. And then I want this. I want another one. Okay. Then I'll come here and I'll say not what I want. Okay, that's what I want. Changing y over changing x. So is equals to. So you put a bracket here. They also put a bracket in the denominator here. So I say here, changing y is going to be found by y1 minus y0. Changing x is going to be given by x1 minus x0. So you say is equals to, now remember, y1, we come here and we replace them with the original numbers. So y1 is 0, okay, minus y0 is 6, so 0 minus 6. I come to x1, as I can see, is -3. And then I subtract, I say x1 minus x0. X0 is 0. And so we can say, simply say, the answer to this one is 0 minus 6. 0 minus 6, the answer is what? -6. -3 minus 0, the answer is -3. So in short, what you're going to have here is you have -6 over -3. Negative and negative cancels on another. 6 divided by 3, the answer is 2. So negative, it has already cancelled because you have negative on the numerator and the denominator. The negative cancels one another. Then you have 6 over 3, which is 2. So we can simply say the gradient of this line is 2. Now, if the gradient of that line is 2, so I can now come here. I take the general point, xy. General point here is xy. I pick either point A or B. You only have to pick one. And then from there, you take the gradient, which is 2. So what that means is in this example, I can pick 0.30, or I can pick 0.06. So whichever you pick, the gradient is going to be the same. So I'll pick -30. Let me come here and pick -30. So -3, let me pick -30. So I'm going to pick here A. So I'm not going to pick B. So I have said A is what? -30 because it is the y-intercept. -3, 0. And so I come here to find the equation of a line, I require to insert this, change in y over change in x, change in y over change in x. Yes, we require another one. Good. So is equals to, so I take y minus, so it's going to be y minus 0. And I said it's very good you have a habit of putting a bracket here to avoid confusions when calculating. So y minus 0. And then I come here and then I say x minus, so x minus negative 3. So this one is equals to, so in our bracket here, y minus 0. And then we have x minus 3 is x plus 3, x plus 3. So is equals to, gradient is 2. So gradient is equals to 2, I write 2 over 1. 2 over 1. And at this point now is where I'm going to come and I cross multiply. So I am going to start this. This cross multiplying is multiplying like that, okay? Multiply like that. And like this. And I'm sure that by this stage now you know how to cross multiply. So that one, I might not do that one for you. So that one you're going to finish on your own. So that is what is called cross multiply. And then from there, you can now go on and you can get your equation. So just note it so that you can solve it at home. At the end of the lesson, I'm going to get an answer. Okay, so that one, so far, so good. So you can be able to find the equation of a line given the, you can be able to find the equation of the line also given the x and the y intercepts, given the x and the y intercepts. So we are doing great. We are doing great. So yes, we have done that. We have covered that. And then from there, it's a simple, very simple, very simple. Yeah. So from there, we are left with two parts: parallel and perpendicular lines. Parallel and perpendicular lines. So I'll take you back here, and then we share. So this is what we are doing. So ukifika hapa, so huyu alichukua gani? Yeah. So yes. So you are finding the equation of the line. Okay. Namna hiyo. So the equation ilikuwa hii. Ukishamaliza huko mwisho. Okay. And the general form of writing the y-intercept is x over a. Y-intercept hapa ni a ni ngapi? A is we said a is a x-intercept. So ingekuwa ni x over negative 3 plus y over 6, because y-intercept is 6 is equals to 1. So in this case now, if you were to write the x-intercept, so it is written in the form of this, plus y over b is equals to 1. Let me just show you this really quickly before we go to the next part. So if this was the case, let me just come here. Yeah, if this was the case here, now remember, if you come to the class rate, it is indicated there in your attendance you came to the class rate. Okay? Those who have started coming today, remember, it is going to be indicated very clearly there. You came to the class today. Because I think some people nimeona ujanja yao na watakuwa na shida because watakuwa na shida because of kujifanya wajanja sana. That is, mtu anakuja class ya kwanza, anakuja just attending for a short time. Unakuja class dakika 5 uonekane ulikuwa, so that you think that I'll take attendance and then I'll forget. No. Remember, I have to check all the sessions that you have attended. So please make sure for your own good. Hii masomo si yangu. Yeah. So for your own good, this is this. Sorry. So I'm writing the general format of the X-Intercepts. Hapa ni B. Hapa ni 0 to 1. So for example, in our equation here, you can see the X-intercept is -3. And the X-intercept is given by A. Y-intercept is given by B. So in this case, you would have said, you would have written it like this. I want you to write this. It's important that you are able to know how to write it like this. So X over -3. This one would have been equal half. X over -3. This is plus y over 6 is equals to 1. So this is how you would have written your equation, like that. Yes, so this is how you would have written your equation. So you are going to write it in that format. And this format, we have simply said, it is the general format of writing the X and the Y intercept in one equation. So this is how you write. Use a general form, write that equation. So that is what how you would have written that. So let us come now to let's come back to the parallel and the perpendicular lines. So parallel lines. Now, so you are going to be told to test whether the following pair of straight lines are parallel or perpendicular. I think we should have started with perpendicular. Why have we started with parallel? Let's start with perpendicular lines, not parallel. And our second video is remaining with 10 minutes. So after that, we are going to move to the other video, and then like that, like that, like that. So let's talk about 2 lines that are perpendicular. Now, perpendicular lines are lines that meet each other at an angle of 90 degrees. An example of 2 perpendicular lines is a line, for example, we can say the y-axis and the x-axis. At the origin, they meet each other at an angle of 90 degrees. So you can say those 2 pairs of lines are perpendicular. Now, the test of 2 perpendicular lines is, as we can see here. Now, before I do that, before I share this, line 1 gradient. So M1 is a gradient of line 1. M2 is a gradient of line 2. You multiply the gradients or the product of the gradients. That is, you say M1, you multiply by M2. Now, the answer that you should get should be equal to -1. So if you take gradient of line 1 and the gradient of line 2, you multiply the gradients, you find the answer is -1, then that is what we call the test of the 2 lines are perpendicular. That is how you can ascertain that the 2 lines are perpendicular. So you take gradient 1, which is M1, you take M2, okay? And then from there you can multiply. So in short, let's take 2 equations from here. Tukienda hapa tumalize. Which of the following lines is perpendicular to? Out of these 2 lines, which is perpendicular to this? This line is y is equals to 4x plus 2. Now line 1 is equals to y is equals to 1/2 minus a quarter x, na hiyo ingine ni y plus 4x is equal to 6. Niweke huku mwisho. So the test for perpendicular lines. The test is M1 you multiply by M2, the answer should be equals to -1. M1 meaning M is a gradient. So M1 is the gradient of line 1, M2 is the gradient of line 2. Now the line that you have been given here is y. Hii line imeandikwa y plus 4x. Imeandikwa y plus 4x is equals to 6. I'm hoping I've copied it the right way. Let me see. I hope I've written all the signs properly. Y. Hapana. Ni y plus y is equal. You see, I was not writing the correct thing. So kuna hiyo na line is this. So this is line 2 here. This is L2. L2. That's line 2. Line 1 is equals to line 1 is equals to line 1 is equals to y is equals to a half x minus a quarter is equals to a half, not x. A half minus a quarter x. And the line that we are testing with is this, is y. This is our original line, y is equals to 4x plus 2. So this video, you're left with 5 minutes. So this line in L1, so L1 we write it like this. Okay, so this is our line here, and we want to find which line is perpendicular to it. Now you can see M. So in this line here, if you call it this line, if you call it L0, if you call this line here L0, so L0, M0 is going to be the gradient of the line L0. So M1 is going to be the gradient of the line L1, and M2 is going to be the gradient of the line L2. So these ones should be like that. So M0 is the gradient of the line L0, M1 gradient of the line L1, and then M2 gradient of the line L2. So here M0 we can see is equals to 4. Those are your gradients. Now in this case here, wacha niandike vizuri, dakika zangu zitaisha. Haina shida. There is no problem because you're going to come again. Y is equals to, let me write it properly so that it can be seen. Easy to confuse. So y is equals to a half minus, is equal to minus 1 over 4 x. 1 over 4 x. Hii ni equation ya hiyo line. Equation ya hii line nayo ni y, you're left with 3 minutes. Y plus 4x is equals to 6. Gradient of a straight line is equals to y is equals to mx plus c. So this 4 has to come to this side. So y, So you are going to say y is equals to, we take this 4 here, it becomes negative. So negative 4x, and then you can see now plus 6. So if that is the case, m now, in this case, m2 becomes negative 4. Okay. And in this case here, hapa kwa nilisema nini? Hapa nilifanya makosa. This one is negative 1 over 4. Negative 1 over 4. So that means gradient is negative 1 over 4. I can insert it here very quickly before our video image. So we have negative 1 over 4. Now we said if we multiply the two gradients, the answer should be equal to negative 1. So gradient of line 1 is equals to 4. Gradient of line 0 is equals to 4. Line 1, negative 1 over 4. And line 2, 4. Now, let me now start testing here. I'm left with 1 minute. Let me take M0. M0, I multiply with M1, and I see the answer. And then consequently, I take M0, and then I multiply it with M2. I see what the answer is going to be. So M1 minus M0 minus M1 is negative 1. No, M0 is 4. This gradient is 4. So it is 4 multiplied by negative 1 over 4. And that one, from my own view, is perpendicular, multiplied by negative 1 over 4. And the answer is going to be by 4, 1 by 4, 1. So the answer is equals to negative 1. The answer is equals to negative 1. So I can see they are perpendicular. Just through they are perpendicular. But this one here is we have M0, that is 4, multiplied by negative 4. And the answer is negative 16. So they are not perpendicular. But these ones are perpendicular because they're giving us the answer as 4 times negative 1 over 4 is negative 1. So by 4, 1 by 4, 1. So those ones are perpendicular. So we continue from here in the next video. So